Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to my channel, Time for Truth. My name's Christina and guess what? I got my little thing to work. So now I can click it on or off. And these are Zen cards. I don't know if anybody's ever seen these. They're kind of old school, I guess, probably from, I don't know, the 90s or something, back when I was trying to find Zen. And they're really cool little cards. There's a whole, 50 of them. And they all talk about different human traits that we all have or seek to achieve. Happiness is one of them. And I'm going to read one of these a day. But today we're going to start with happiness because it's an inside job. No guarantees. You got to get there yourself. So it says this. This is a little bookmark that I have on it for some reason. But there's what it says on the back side. So happiness comes from within. If you choose to be happy, no one and no thing can ever take that happiness from you. And I really like that because it's very simple. So today I'm feeling pretty happy, as a matter of fact. I'll put that book note thing back on there, and tomorrow we'll see the other one. In fact, I'll put that one at the back. And tomorrow's card will be at the front. So that's how that'll go. So I woke up this morning after not feeling well yesterday and kind of like, oh, okay, how am I doing? How am I feeling? And actually pretty good. Because I've been having these headaches that come on in the afternoon, along with the other chronic pain stuff that I'm dealing with. So, woke up feeling pretty good. And the morning just got better and better. I just kept seeing things that were making me happier and happier. One of which is keeping women's sports female. The International Olympics Committee, the IOC, came to their, mind and realized that, men and women's sports is not women's sports anymore. So they needed to get the perverts out of there. But you know what they did? They didn't make it retroactive. So all the women who lost their achieving goals, they're not going to be compensated or have those things reversed. I hope they sue as a class action. Fresca today. Here's the mug. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Yeah. So I've been wanting to talk a little bit about things that have come about, by opening this channel, just by starting to talk about these things. I get feedback and I get affirmations that what I'm doing is the right thing. That the things that I'm talking about, other people are also a little bit afraid to talk about, but are becoming a little braver in, the face of the loudmouths who are, woke. So I love it that the Olympics will be in LA, where they're going to have it in their faces that no man is a woman. And, that's how it goes. Get the hell out of women's sports. And then running the gauntlet of doctors I talked about a little bit in my last broadcast. Good Lord. Well, the way my morning got better was an email in my inbox from Nextdoor, which sometimes pops into my social section of my emails. And I thought, well, let me click on it and see what's happening around the neighborhood. Well, come to find out, it was somebody who posted a truth about the doctor, one of the doctors that I'd been running the gauntlet with in an attempt to find a way to manage these conditions that I have. And all I was given was a list from my primary care that gave, the plethora of choices. So I called them and I had made 3 appointments because there's wait times around here a month out or longer sometimes. So I had seen this one doctor. He was so rude. Oh my gosh. People were standing outside of the waiting room because it was so crowded in there with disabled people. So anyways, then I read the clinical notes off the portal, and he lied, flat out lied in his clinical notes. So I left a bad review for him. Yeah, I don't mess around. I just start off right at the very beginning and let everybody know. Well, this woman did it on Nextdoor. And here's what she said, and I'm going to say the doctor's name because I'll be talking about him more. Here's a friendly PSA. For anyone who goes to Apico Pain Management and is being cared for by Dr. Abdullah, let me fill you in on how he feels. He will be your only doctor or else. And he did that to me too. What are you doing seeing all these doctors? I'm like, they were on the list, my primary care team, and he just cut me off. Rude. So she goes on to say, in a nutshell, I have chronic nerve damage in my lower back, which is what I was being seen for, a herniated disc, plus the double mastectomy and lymphedema stuff. So she says, in a nutshell, I have chronic nerve damage in my lower back. My back swells and my legs have trouble moving. I did the stimulator trial, but found out I have 2 large spinal tumors. I feel bad for her. Dr. Abdullah said it wasn't necessary to mention them at all because he wouldn't be touching the area. I called a doctor in New York City, which is always a good idea to get a second opinion, people, and go to the big cities where the major medical centers are. I've been seen at Sloan Kettering, Bethesda Naval Medical Center, Kaiser Permanente one in California. They've gone to hell in a handbasket, Kaiser. At any rate, she goes on to say that Dr. Abdullah felt it wasn't necessary to mention them. So she called a doctor in New York to make an appointment to have the tumors looked at. Of course, apparently Dr. Abdullah found out, and instead of saying, yes, you are 100% entitled to another opinion, he tells me that I have now made him feel like he has a target on his back. Now, why would he say that? Because another doctor is involved in her care. And doctors don't like that. They want to be the one and only, like they have some God complex. So I'm so proud of this woman. What does that even mean, she asks. Right. He now claims that because he overlooked the tumors, that now he will feel uncomfortable around her. So this is that Darvo thing. Deny, attack, reverse the situation, and attack the person who's seeing and saying. So he now claims that that he would feel uncomfortable around her. And he lied about me in his clinical notes. And I already left him a review. Plus, I had already prepared my response based upon what I saw on the portal with the lying. And I told my primary care about it too, because each time I saw one of these doctors that I got referred to, I went back to my primary care and reported what had happened. Anyways, so this woman goes on to say, it's really hard finding specialists here. Be careful what you tell him. He doesn't like competition. She nailed it. My husband started going somewhere else for migraine injections. He literally asked him why the F he was cheating on his practice. Just so you know. Made my day to read this because I'm over here feeling like I've lost my mind. I'm a crazy woman. Somehow I'm being singled out for these kinds of instances where I walk away going, what in the living hell is going on? But no, it's not just me. And in fact, in yesterday's mail, I got because I had asked him, I said, you better send me all the records. And of course they didn't. I asked for also a summary of the urinalysis, because that's a whole other thing. When you go to these doctors, you're treated like a criminal. Like, you have to pee with the door open. I was shocked. I'm like, what is going on? No sink to wash your hands. Crazy stuff. Makes you not want to go to a doctor and somehow just figure out a way to manage your condition without having additional nonsense on top of it. It's so crazy. And the responses that she got, I took pictures with my camera so that I would have evidence, because I'm going to use this against that doctor when I make a formal complaint against his license. That's how far I go with it, because no, you don't get to treat me that way and then get paid for it. No. So I just want everybody to know that there are plenty of good healthcare providers out there. I'm certain there are. I've encountered very few of them. On one hand, I could count them. More than that, though, as I've encountered psychopaths with God complexes. So you don't have to reach my age, of gray hair and missing teeth. That's another thing with the dentist. And I'm going to talk about that today too, because these dentists are out of their flipping minds. But anyways, my point in saying all this is you do not have to accept that kind of mistreatment in a medical setting. And more, that is what people are being subjected to. So I don't know what's going on. It's not just down here in Delaware. I know that because I've gone to other places outside of Delaware for healthcare. Not recently, but going back up to see my otolaryngologist with the ear thing that is a chronic condition also. You can't even bring that up. That's the other thing. Whatever you get a referral from the doctor for, that's all part and parcel. They only want to hear about that little part of it, not the whole wellness of the person. So the same thing would go with the dentist. I was told that I would have to undergo radiation treatment as a part of my cancer treatments. And if I had any loose or otherwise compromised teeth, that I needed to have that extracted. So the oncology department with the local hospital was, telling me, yeah, you're going to need to have radiation after your lymph node dissection. So they don't even know yet because I haven't even had the lymph node dissection, but they're already telling me to take these proactive measures in case you do, I guess. So I thought, well, I need to have that tooth out anyways. And I'd been kind of procrastinating on that because I hate the dentist. I just, it's too much for me with the ear issues and then the TMJ and pain for days and dentists who don't care to listen. I have no grief at all against the hygienists. Every hygienist I've ever met has been excellent, truly. Never had a problem with the hygienist, only the dentists. So when I went to have this tooth extracted, I had already gone to this new practice. And because the other dentist, when I called him out about, a very expensive bridge not matching the color of my teeth, he was dismissive. And the first one that came back didn't even fit, so it had to be sent back. So that tells you right there that, whatever. So I told him to his face how I felt about spending this kind of money for what I got. So then I got a new dentist, then I had to have this tooth extracted. And so during the extraction, which I should just go to the hospital and have teeth extracted in the future because it's never been a good scene. At any rate, this dude broke the adjoining crown. So now I have a 2-tooth gap. Then that got infected. I'm going to physical therapy for this lymphedema after the double mastectomy, and my tooth area, or lack thereof, is throbbing. He's completely dismissive afterward. Oh, I'll just call you. It shouldn't have hurt after more than 2 days. I'm thinking, it's really hurting now. No pain medicine, no nothing. That's not in our protocol. That's what he says. Then it gets infected, so I drive over there, sit in the waiting room, and wait to be seen. He does the clean out on it and then refers me to my primary care. Excuse me? You just caused all those problems and you refer me to my primary care. Not for antibiotics too. Thank God I had a good primary care, but that was really the start of it. With my primary care was the dumb dentist sending me there after he caused big problems. And then you know what he said? Oh, I'll give you a credit for that. It'll only be this many thousands of dollars for the new bridge. I want to kick him in his shins. So anyways, that's where that is with that. And it's frustrating. People can only take so much from the medical community, not to mention the whole COVID nonsense that they still ask about. I don't even answer those questions anymore. I just stare at them. And they look away because I'm not answering those questions or pain questions. What's your pain level today? Why? Is anything going to be done about it? And now I tell the med tech person, I'm sorry, you can write that down though, but I'm not answering those questions anymore because nothing's done. Right? What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. I'm beyond that. So I don't answer those questions anymore. And my point in saying a lot of this is that to let other people know, you don't have to answer those questions. You can go find another provider. I took a nurse to a human rights hearing about nonsense. So I will fight back, especially when I have a headache. No, those headaches have been kicking my butt. I'll tell you that. Blurry eye, light sensitivity. I thought the coffee, and I looked that up, and maybe that's not such a good idea right now until I know what's happening. Discharge from my ear, which is gross to say, but it's true. And, again, my ears were pulled on as a kid, as a child, yanked by the ears. And so I've always had ear problems, going to the beach as a kid and then having, your head wet from the pool or the ocean, and then coming out in the wind. Oh, terrible earaches back then. So if you're having earaches or vision issues or headaches, like, go to a specialist. Find out about that. What I'm looking at is, I have an otolaryngologist that I see because of the surgeries that I've had there, and they have to do a mastoid clean out. But I think there's actually something else going on. I don't really know, but it's just another thing to contend with. So that was kind of bringing you guys up to speed on running the gauntlet of doctors and trying as a patient to do the right thing. I'm telling you, being a patient these days is, you better be your own advocate, because the doctors do not care. Read the clinical notes that they give you or ask for them. Whatever you give the doctor, make sure you have a copy of it and ask for it back. If you have to give them the notes 17 pages while you're sitting in the waiting room, make them make a copy of it for you. They have to do that. And fight back. That's the only way, is to be vocal. How many doctors have fired me after I already fired them? They're a joke, truly. A flippin' joke. And then this doctor, when he lied about me, I saw his fat ass walk out of the room. He put in the clinical notes that I got up and left the room. No, I'm still sitting in the chair, watching his stinky butt walk down the hallway. He polluted the entire exam room when he walked in. Lordy. Now listen, all three of the doctors that I saw, here's the comparison I'm going to give you, because they're not all bad. They're just part and parcel. They're not going to treat the whole person. They're only going to treat what you get referred for. So I'm referred for a herniated disc that was from using a machine to help me with a double mastectomy lymphedema condition. So the first doctor that I went to, he was really, really good. And he was honest with me. He showed me what it was. He said, you should have had a closed MRI to really show the condition. But my primary care sent me for an open MRI. So the first doctor said, it's better to treat this when it's acute, and you're not acute now. And I wasn't, because it had been since December and it was now March. So I went back to my primary care after seeing that doctor and told him what was said. And my primary care seemed to think that that was reasonable, and so did I. And I wasn't interested in having a needle stuck in my spine 3 times when I'm not in pain. No, thank you. So I told my primary care that, and he continued to at least prescribe me something to deal with the lymphedema pain and the residual herniated disc pain, which I don't want to be on medicine. That's not, I just don't want to be on it. So then I went to the second doctor, which happened to be the appointment the day before seeing this jerk, Dr. Abdullah, smelling like feces walking into the room. This other doctor who my primary care said, if you can get in to see her, do. So I did. I had to wait 3 weeks, but I got in to see her. And she was very good, and she treated the whole conditions. And she was also a advocate, though, for the 3 shots in the spine. But she none of these doctors ordered the closed MRI for me. So I went back to my primary care because of these 2 last appointments were back to back. So then I went to my primary care because I made a follow-up appointment with the second doctor to go and see her, because I felt like she was going to give me the best ongoing care, because I know my primary care, that's not what he's going to do. That's not what your primary care does. They refer you out to a specialist to then take over your care. So good luck finding one. So I had made an appointment with the second doctor, the female, who I liked. I thought she was straight up. Other than the way that they treat you like a criminal during a urinalysis. You have to have a urinalysis in 72 hours. Like, so we just drove right there right after that appointment. And then I got there and then they're like, you have to keep the door open. Like, what is going on? But anyway, so I had made the appointment to follow up with the second doctor. I went back to my primary care. He's like, yeah, I understand why you wouldn't want to have an invasive procedure with a needle stuck into your spine. And why didn't any of them order a closed MRI for you? I'm like, you'd have to ask them. Could you maybe order it? And he did. So that's April 3rd or whatever. So I called the second doctor back and rescheduled that appointment to after the closed MRI. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm telling you, you have to be your own advocate. And if you're sick, you don't really feel up to it. I started deciding which color I'm going to put on my nails. I decided this one. And I painted my pinky. I like it. It's like a little natural color. It's got a little shine to it. The only way to get some peace is to do something, outside of thinking about it all. But when you're involved in it and you have to go and see these doctors to follow the algorithm, that's another thing. That's what was told to me by one of the, it was the physician's assistant to the breast surgeon. You're not following the algorithm. What? And now the doctors want to do AI. They'll ask you for your consent to not do their job and with nuance write their notes. No, they want you to consent to AI, where AI then summarizes. I say I do not consent. That happened at the urologist, but all of them are moving toward that. There's a whole fight right now going on of who's going to be the top dog in the AI world. Is it going to be woke and lying and creating chaos, anarchy, or is it going to be real time, actual truth, the real thing, like Coca-Cola? I really don't know. What I do know, though, is that what I have said on this channel has been the truth. Time for truth. And in fact, I shared with you all about the HOA situation and what a nightmare that was when I went to that board meeting. Well, you know what showed up in my inbox? An email from one of the other board members who had said, well, everybody's dealing with something. When I said, I'd had 2 cancer surgeries last year and the chaos with, why isn't anything being done? And I don't get a response from the HOA. What is that about? Yeah, she sent me an email. You know what she said? This is so-and-so from the board meeting we had the other day. I was the one sitting next to so-and-so. I wanted to reach out and apologize to you. When you mentioned that, and it doesn't have you, but she meant to say you. When you mentioned that you had cancer last year, I responded by saying we all have issues. I should have said, I'm sorry you had cancer. Cancer is a terrible thing to go through. I really am sorry that I didn't say that on Saturday. Have a good week and I will see you on Saturday. When I said it was the mean girls table, it was the mean girls table. And I understand why she wrote this, because they all behaved that way. Because when I see something, I say something, and the be kind crowd doesn't want to hear it. Too bad. They're going to hear it. And then I got the notice for the HOA meeting. Yeah. I will speak out. I had to fight for my mom. I had to file complaints. I had to file complaints with the state, with the bar. Nightmare. And to have to constantly feel like I've done something wrong. Because I grew up always feeling like I was the one to blame in the household I grew up in. Whatever happened, it was my fault. Still, to this day. Because all my family shuns me. my nuclear family, and I've talked about that in a previous episode too. But yeah, well, I reject that. And when I get an affirmation from another person who's encountered the same doctor and had the same kind of experience, that's affirming to me. That tells me I'm on the right path. And I sent her a message this morning and got responses back. She told me more. I commented publicly so that if that doctor sees it, yeah. I also called the fire marshal on him. That's right. And one thing that I haven't gotten on my channel, guess what? No cease and desists. You know why? Because it's time for truth. And when you tell the truth, that's it. Nobody can find fault with that. And when you come with receipts, that's affirming in real time, not fake affirming, like some man claiming that he's a woman or some boy claiming he's a girl. Where are the men beating them down, saying, what the hell? Well, the Olympic Committee, in fact, my mom's friend Linda, her husband was on the Olympic Committee back in the day. They had a place down in Atlantic City. In fact, my mom rented an apartment down there for a couple of summers. It was so much fun. Took my daughter, her friends down there. But yeah, he was on the Olympic Committee. They actually lived in Narberth. That was where my mom actually found out about Narberth. Was her friend Linda was in Tucson, and they met in a Al-Anon meeting where the family of alcoholics go, because my mom's husband, my father, was raging alcoholic. So my mom, when she left him, moved to Tucson because they were still in Germany. Yeah. So in fact, my second husband and I Eurailed, went all over Germany and Austria and visited my father in Heidelberg. Yeah, I was pregnant at the time. Yeah, they got drunk at dinner. Yeah. So anyways, that's how that went. They got along marvelous, just like two peas in a pod. Anyways, yeah. So on my channel, I've received no cease and desist. I haven't been threatened to be sued because everything that I've said is the truth, and I bring the receipts. And these doctors have really ticked me off in my area, and the dentist too. Yeah, because like I'm still missing teeth, and what he wants is an insane amount of money to fix his own mistake. Because I planned on leaving that back tooth with just one, but no, now there's a 2-tooth gap. So anyways, I feel like I have to fight back all the time, and I am like trying to move out of that whole scene of, oh, and acupuncture. Oh my gosh. So I called the acupuncturist. I'm not sure where I had gotten her. Oh, there was an acupuncture card at one of the pain clinics. So I snagged that, and I called her. She called back. She said, you know, you have to sign, I have to send you this form, and the prices are crazy. But this was my daughter when she got the acupuncture, and that's basically what acupuncture is like. It's just these little tiny needles that are put into the pressure point after they have, you know, basically an hour and a half. Oh, here's a picture of her in Atlantic City too. I taught her how to walk on her hands because my mom had the beach house in Atlantic City. So we'd go down there. She was great. I'm not sure if she can still do a handstand, but I bet she can, because once you learn how to do handstands, you don't unlearn it. And then I remember showing that picture of her with that was Taylor, the standard size poodle. Yeah, she had come from Montana. They adopted that dog from Montana. And oh, here's a picture of my father and my second husband, the father of my daughter. Yeah, this is when he came into town. My father probably paid for the trip so that they could sit at the head table and act like big men on campus. Yeah, but my mom showed up to that party, popped the balloon. Remember I told you guys about my mom? She redid her house where she lived. She loved it so much. Look at her living room. These were the original wood floors. Yeah, she had redone her entire home. It looks so beautiful. her piano, when she had listed her home for sale after the neighbors were jackasses, had to go to court because the dude kept backing into her car. She moved the piano out of this room when it was staged. This was the upstairs room, the guest bedroom. And she had put in an extra bath. The original house only had one bath. So yeah, she had a designer help her with that. She had wallpaper. She spent a lot of money on redoing her house, and it looked fantastic. Look at that. Her kitchen. She had a beautiful black oak tree in her backyard. Oh yeah, it looked so good. She loved that house. I thought I printed out a picture of the bathroom that she did. The house that was up in Upper Darby had an original clawfoot tub, and we moved that thing over to her house. So she had a cast iron clawfoot tub in her master bathroom. I'll have to find that picture. But yeah, so anyways, oh yeah, lots of photos, lots of fun. So I am loving doing the YouTube thing. I cannot tell you guys how much it is such a relief to talk about it all. Because I sought out, therapy. I thought, I need a talk therapist, clearly. But that ended up with the human rights hearing. So then I saw a psychologist, but after 3 meetings with a psychologist, let me tell you what happened. I thought I was going to be, that was another referral from my primary care. I thought I was going to get to see a psychologist. No. Silly me. No, I don't get to see a psychologist. In fact, I only saw her 3 times, 1 in person, 2 on web Zoom or whatever, which is fine. I like those appointments. When I was going through the probate matter, my therapist at Jewish Family Services, it was really a bad ending, because she told me that, I asked her, I said, why are laws being changed allowing men to claim that they're women and change their IDs in Delaware? She said, because some men are now women. I looked at her and I said, Rosemary, we've come a long way, but apparently some therapists are now liars. And she cried. Yeah, she broke down crying because she knows that's a lie, that some men are now women. She has granddaughters, and she's a lesbian in a lesbian relationship, and she's spouting out that kind of nonsense. Yeah. So anyways, that's how that therapy ended after the probate matter was just about over. I had hired the probate at the appellate level counsel, so she knew I was in good shape. She clearly was not. So anyways, I've looked for therapists. So I saw this psychologist on a referral from the primary care 3 times. You know what she did? She referred me to some random counseling place over an hour from my house. And that was the end of that. So I thought, well, let me do this. I said, can I email or call you in 3 months and let you know how it's going? And there was an extended pause, crickets. And then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. She's not getting out of it that easy. No. And I'll call those people. I'll call and see if they do tele-Zoom meetings or whatever, because I'm not driving an hour to go talk to a therapist at some random place. Oh, and I wanted you all to see this too. All right, so I love barns and old country-style houses. This is one that was on Route 1 in the county that I live in. We would pass it a lot. And guess what? It finally fell. It's no longer there. I have pictures of the remains too. But hopefully the guy who owns the land is going to turn it into something that the public can enjoy. And I've been following that Twitter page that is doing it's X now, yeah. Following X, this lady on X that does the barns. And that's a lot of fun. So, you have to find the fun where you can, even in the midst of everything else. Like yesterday, I was out of commission. Yeah, bad. So good days and bad days for sure. But on the good days, get up and go, do what you can, fight back if you've been mistreated by the healthcare community. I'm sorry to say that it is incumbent on the patient to be their own advocate and find somebody who can go with you to appointments, find somebody who can, like in that doctor's notes, he's all, oh, well, nobody else made the complaints that you made. Oh, is that right? Well, my husband was with me. So I have a witness. I don't go alone to a doctor's appointment ever again. In fact, even when I was in the hospital, he stayed with me. We demanded that we have a hospital room that he could be in with me. And ladies, demand it. Especially what's happening with foreign invaders in our healthcare system. In fact, at that oncology department, the radiation oncologist told me to ask for a different oncologist for ongoing care because she was going out on maternity leave. And when I did that, the practice ghosted me. So I didn't need the radiation oncologist who was 5 stars. He was one of the ones of the 5 stars on one hand that I can count in a 2-year journey with healthcare providers. And, I'd like to say it's all in Delaware. No, it's not. Because I see other people in other states encountering far worse than what I've encountered. And just to hear somebody, write this on Nextdoor this morning, and then to make that connection with her, to affirm her and to let her know that her post was extremely helpful to me, because then I don't walk around all day, feeling like a complete loser, that I must be the only one who's encountering these rude doctors and that are psychopaths. That my breast surgeon's physician's assistant on my 3-month appointment stuck 3 fingers up into where I had that lymph node dissection surgery. Brought me right up off the table. My husband's sitting there, saw the whole thing. Psychopaths. There's no other word for it. So when you walk into a doctor's appointment, be an educated consumer, because that's what you are. You're not a patient. You're a consumer. And stand your ground. Understand your condition. Use the internet. Get yourself a Merck manual, MERCK. You can find them online. I have one, and I've looked up so many things in that book. I don't know where it is right now. It's probably back over on the bookcase. One of the bookcases. So, that's all you can do, and fight back. Don't let these doctors get away with it. I don't care if they're male or female, and don't let them ask you intrusive questions, and fight back with it, and let them know that you're not going to put up with that, and then go find a different provider, and in the meantime, find a way to help yourself, whether it's hot compresses, whether it's looking at your diet and exercise. Diet matters. So I, again, said in a previous broadcast that coffee can be helpful if you have a headache. Well, that's not if it's something related to inner ear issues. That you need to see an otolaryngologist. And I've been under the care of an otolaryngologist since 2003. So, yeah. It's a lot, but it must be done because you have to take care of yourself. Nobody else is going to. And on that note, I have the HOA meeting tomorrow, and that should be interesting. I'll be posting about that because, whatever. Because I see something, I say something. And people that don't like that, I don't care. They're going to hear about it. And so I always like to share, what's going on, and my kind of cuckoo self with everybody, because I am just as cuckoo as the next person. I don't do everything right all the time, but I'm present in the moment. That's what I am. When I'm trying to advocate for myself or others, I become present in the moment, and I take care of the business at hand. And all of my procrastinations they just go by the wayside, and I am focused. So, I'm a really nice person until I get crossed. And then I'm not a nice person anymore, especially when I find out more information and that there's other people being affected by the same bad behaviors, whoever it's coming from, a professional or someone in my own family. Deal with it head on. All right, so I'm now on about 40 minutes, but I'm going to say, guess how many views the church bells got? Over 3,000. What? That's crazy. So I hope everybody has a great day. Find your inner happiness, hold on to it, nourish it, and share it with others, because being happy is a gift, and it's a gift you give to yourself. So let me find that little clicker thing, and I'll say, have a great weekend. I may be back on tomorrow. Who knows? May not be back on until Monday. See how it goes. Take care, everybody. Thanks for stopping in and listening to all my chatter, because I really do appreciate it. Bye.